This is a recording of The Cloud of Unknowing by an unknown author, Part 2. During contemplative prayer, all created things and their works must be buried beneath the cloud of forgetting. If you wish to enter into this cloud, to be at home in it, and to take up the contemplative work of love, as I urge you to, there is something else you must do. Just as the cloud of unknowing lies above you, between you and your God, so you must fashion a cloud of forgetting beneath you, between you and every created thing. The cloud of unknowing will perhaps leave you with the feeling that you are far from God. But no, if it is authentic, only the absence of a cloud of forgetting keeps you from Him now. Every time I say all creatures, I refer not only to every created thing, but also to all their circumstances and activities. I make no exception. You are to concern yourself with no creature, whether material or spiritual, nor with their situation and doings, whether good or bad. To put it briefly, during this work, you must abandon them all beneath the cloud of forgetting. For although at times and in certain circumstances, it is necessary and useful to dwell on the particular situation and activity of people and things, during this work, it is almost useless. Thinking and remembering are forms of spiritual understanding in which the eye of the spirit is opened and closed upon things as the eye of a marksman is on his target. But I tell you that everything you dwell upon during this work becomes an obstacle to union with God. For if your mind is cluttered with these concerns, there is no room for Him. Yes, and with all due reverence, I go so far as to say that it is equally useless to think you can nourish your contemplative work by considering God's attributes, such as His kindness or His dignity, or by thinking about Our Lady, the angels, or the saints, or about the joys of heaven, wonderful as these will be. I believe that this kind of activity is no longer of any use to you. Of course, it is laudable to reflect upon God's kindness and to love and praise Him for it. Yet, it is far better to let your mind rest in the awareness of Him in His naked existence, and to love and praise Him for what He is in Himself. A short explanation of contemplation in the form of a dialogue. Now you say, how shall I proceed to think of God as He is in Himself? Well, to this I can only reply, I do not know. With this question, you bring me into the very darkness and cloud of unknowing that I want you to enter. A man may know completely and ponder thoroughly every created thing and its works, yes, and God's works too, but not God Himself. Thought cannot comprehend God. And so, I prefer to abandon all that I know, choosing rather to love Him whom I cannot know. Though we cannot know Him, we can love Him. By love, He may be touched and embraced, but never by thought. Of course, we do well at times to ponder God's majesty or kindness for the insight these meditations may bring. But in the real contemplative work, you must set all this aside and cover it over with a cloud of forgetting. Then let your loving desire, gracious and devout, step briefly and joyfully beyond it and reach out to pierce the darkness above. Yes, beat upon that thick cloud of unknowing with the dart of your loving desire, and do not cease, come what may.